They were four women from different worlds, bound by the secrets they kept in one apartment. When tradition demands they choose a path already laid out for them, they must decide whether to live a comfortable lie or build a radical, unbreakable family of their own making. This is not just a story of romance, it is a story of building a life where love, in all its forms, is unbreakable. The unbreakable season. The rain in the city didn't fall, it attacked. It was a relentless, horizontal assault that soaked Aria's second-hand suitcase the moment she stepped off the bus from Maple Creek. She stood on the bustling sidewalk, clutching a crumpled piece of paper with an address, feeling utterly insignificant. Her purpose was simple: get an education, make her family proud, and never, ever cause a stir. The address led her to a building that looked more like a modern art sculpture than an apartment complex. It was all sleek lines and shimmering glass. Taking a deep breath, Aria pushed through the heavy glass door into a lobby of immense quiet and cool marble. The woman behind the reception desk directed her upstairs. A few moments later, an elevator door whispered open, and Marisol Valdez stepped out. Aria's first thought was that she'd never seen a person who looked so composed. Her dark hair was swept into an elegant chignon. She wore a tailored cream-colored pantsuit, and a simple gold necklace rested at the base of her throat. Her smile was warm but measured. "Aria, welcome. Come, let's get you out of the weather," Marisol said, her voice a smooth, cultured alto. She led Aria to the elevator, which ascended without a sound to the penthouse. The apartment was breathtaking. A wall of windows presented a panoramic, rain-streaked view of the city skyline. Everything was minimalist, elegant, and immaculate. "The room is this way," Marisol said. "It has its own ensuite. I require quiet, cleanliness, and respect for the shared space. The rent is as stated in the ad." Aria nodded vigorously. "Of course. Absolutely. My family, they'd expect nothing less." She thought of her mother's warnings, her father's stern looks. "Focus on your studies, Aria. Don't get distracted." "Good." Marisol's smile became a fraction more genuine. "I think you'll do nicely. The other tenant is a graduate student, very focused. You'll meet her tonight." As Aria unpacked her meager belongings in a room larger than her entire bedroom back home, she felt a surge of hope. This was it. Her new beginning. It was perfect. Safe. Ordered. That evening, the focused graduate student arrived home. Her name was Noelle, and focused was the last word Aria would have used to describe her. She blew into the apartment like a summer storm, her laughter echoing down the hall before she even appeared. She had a cascade of fiery red hair, eyes the color of mossy green stones, and a smile that was utterly captivating. "You must be the new arrival," Noelle announced, dropping her art portfolio bag with a thud. "I'm Noelle. Don't let Marisol's serene aura fool you, she's the best. And a terrible cook. We mostly order in." Marisol appeared in the doorway, a faint blush on her cheeks. "Noelle, must you?" "Yes, I must. It's my duty to initiate the newcomers." Noelle winked at Aria, and Aria felt her stomach do a funny little flip. She'd never met anyone so effortlessly magnetic. Over the next few weeks, a routine developed. Aria attended her classes, marveling at the sheer volume of knowledge and people. Noelle, who was getting her MFA in sculpture, would drag her to galleries and late-night coffee shops, expanding her world at a dizzying pace. Marisol was often busy with her charitable foundation work, but she'd sometimes join them for dinner, her presence a calm, steady counterpoint to Noelle's vibrant energy. Aria noticed the way Marisol looked at Noelle. It was a look she tried to bury, hidden behind sips of tea or sudden attentiveness to her phone. It was a look of such profound, aching tenderness that it made Aria's heart hurt. It was a look of deep love, and it was beautiful. It was Noelle who introduced Aria to the neighbor. "You need to get out of this beautifully curated space," Noelle declared one afternoon. "Come meet Hannah. She's the only person in this building with a properly lived-in apartment." Hannah lived across the hall. Her apartment was the antithesis of Marisol's, a vibrant, beautiful chaos. Canvases leaned against walls, half-finished paintings of bold, abstract shapes sat on easels, and books were stacked in precarious towers on every surface. Hannah herself was a study in focused energy. She had sharp, intelligent eyes behind stylish glasses and a directness that was both intimidating and refreshing. "So, you're the new roommate," Hannah said by way of greeting, handing Arya a cup of strong, black coffee. "Living with the philanthropist and the artist. Quite the combination." "I guess I am," Arya said, flushing. Hannah was a woman of science and reason, a fact she stated with the same matter-of-factness as stating her hair was black. She and Marisol were an unlikely pair of friends. Their debates about different worldviews a constant, good-natured feature of their hallway conversations. "You can't honestly believe that all this," Hannah would say, gesturing at the cityscape beyond the window, "isn't the most incredible natural accident. And you can't believe there's no design to such beauty," Marisol would counter gently. "We'll agree to disagree, as always." Arya found herself drawn to Hannah's apartment more and more. Where Noelle was sunlight, Hannah was a grounding, solid earth. She was sharp, witty, and saw the world in a way that challenged everything Arya had been taught. Hannah saw her, not the obedient daughter from Maple Creek, but the curious, hungry woman yearning to break free. One night, after a particularly frustrating call with her mother who was already asking about nice, eligible young men at the university, Arya found herself at Hannah's door, tears of frustration in her eyes. Hannah didn't offer empty comfort. She just let her in, made more coffee, and listened. Then she said, "Their world is defined by their own experiences. Your job isn't to live in it. Your job is to build your own." Something in the way she said it, the unwavering certainty, broke a dam inside Arya. She looked at Hannah, really looked at her, at the strength in her hands, the intelligence in her gaze, the gentle curve of her smile. And she leaned forward, her heart hammering against her ribs, and kissed her. It was a clumsy kiss, fueled by a surge of courage and fear. But Hannah didn't pull away. After a moment of stunned stillness, she kissed her back, her hand coming up to cup Arya's jaw with a tenderness that made Arya want to weep. That was the beginning of them. Their relationship was a secret, thrilling universe built in the confines of Hannah's paint-splattered apartment. For Arya, it was a revelation. Love was debates over philosophy, it was Hannah teaching her to mix paints, it was the quiet, awe-filled discovery of each other's hearts, a connection that felt more real to Arya than anything she had ever known. But secrets have weight. Arya saw the burden of a different secret every day in Marisol's eyes. The turning point came on a Tuesday. Marisol's parents, kind but traditional figures, were in town. They took Marisol to dinner, and she returned home ashen-faced, her composure shattered. Noelle was out. Arya found Marisol sitting in the dark living room, the city lights glinting off the tears tracking silently down her face. "Marisol, what's wrong?" They found a man," Marisol whispered, her voice raw. "A good man from our community. A good match. They're very excited." She looked at Arya, her eyes filled with a despair so deep it was heartbreaking. "They talked about the future. They see my life as a path already laid out, and her voice broke. "I can't. I look at him and feel nothing. I look at." She didn't say the name. She didn't have to. The door opened then, and Noelle walked in, humming to herself, smelling of clay and night air. She stopped short, seeing them in the dark. "What's going on?" Marisol stood up, her body trembling. The careful walls she'd built over a lifetime crumbled in that moment of sheer, unadulterated emotion. "They want me to marry him," she choked out. Noelle's face went still. The usual laughter in her eyes vanished, replaced by a complex storm of pain, understanding, and fear. She took a step forward. "Marie. I can't do it, Noelle. I can't." Marisol was crying now, deep, heartfelt sobs that shook her entire frame. "My heart, it belongs to." Noelle crossed the room in 2 strides and pulled Marisol into her arms. Marisol buried her face in Noelle's neck, her hands clutching the back of Noelle's shirt as if she were anchoring herself. "I know," Noelle murmured into her hair, her own voice thick with emotion. "I know. I've always known. And I love you. I have loved you since the day I walked into this beautiful apartment." Arya watched, her own heart aching, as they held each other. It was the most raw, real, and courageous act she had ever witnessed. It was a silent, defiant commitment in the dark. The next morning, everything was different. The secrets were out in the open between the four of them. Aria and Hannah were together. Marisol and Noelle were together. They were two couples, bound by a shared, powerful truth. They tried, for a while, to navigate their dual lives. Marisol tried to gently dissuade her parents, coming up with reasons to delay. Aria told her parents she was too busy with studies to think about dating. But the omissions felt like a weight. The end of the pretense came at a community picnic Marisol had invited them to. Hannah came, a skeptic in a crowd of tradition, for solidarity. It was a disaster. Marisol's mother, a woman with kind eyes that missed little, saw the way her daughter looked at Noelle, a look of such pure, unguarded adoration as Noelle laughed. She saw the way Hannah's hand discreetly found Aria's, their fingers intertwining for just a second. The ride home was silent. The phone call came an hour later. Aria could hear the upset, confused sound of Mrs. Valdez's voice through the receiver. Words of disappointment and worry sliced through the air. Marisol emerged from her room, looking devastated. They know. She said they need time to understand. They don't understand. That night, the four of them sat in the living room, a council of strength. Hannah was pragmatic. You are your own person, Marie. They can't direct your life. They can withdraw their understanding, Marisol whispered. They can mourn a future they imagined for me. That hurts deeply. So what? Noelle said, fire in her eyes. We live half a life. We deny who we are. I won't do it. I'd rather stand in my truth than live their illusion. Aria thought of her own parents. She called them, her hand shaking. Mom, there's something I need to tell you. I'm seeing someone. Her mother's voice was initially excited. Oh, Aria. Who is he? What's he studying? It's not a he, Mom. Her name is Hannah. The silence on the other end was absolute. When her mother finally spoke, the voice was cold and distant. Aria, what are you saying? Is this a joke? We did not send you there for this phase. The word hung in the air, harsh and final. The call ended with tears and confusion. Aria felt the door to her old life close with a painful thud. They were all navigating uncharted territory now. Their love was their compass. It was Hannah's idea. If marriage is the institution they think defines a family, then let's define it for ourselves. A ceremony? Marisol asked, her voice faint. But it wouldn't be recognized. We don't need their recognition, Hannah stated, her mind already envisioning it. We need ours. We'll have our own service. We'll write our own promises. We will stand before friends who see us and celebrate us. It will be more meaningful than any document. The idea was audacious. And perfect. They planned it for months. They found a small, inclusive community center that would host them. They invited a handful of friends, fellow students, artists, activists, people who represented their chosen family. Noelle, with her artist hands, crafted their rings herself, for interlocking bands, each etched with a unique pattern that represented their owner, but designed to fit together as a whole. The night before the ceremony, Marisol went to a quiet place to reflect. She didn't go to ask for permission. She went to find peace. She sat in silence, and she wept. She wept for the loss of her parents' understanding, for the community that felt distant, for the love she still believed in but felt had been misunderstood by others. She wasn't rejecting her faith, she was expanding it. She was choosing a love that felt true and right. The ceremony was nothing like a traditional wedding. There were no aisles, no sides. They stood together in a circle, the four of them, in the middle of the room, surrounded by their friends. Hannah spoke first, her voice clear and strong. I believe in choice. And I choose you, Aria. I choose your courage, your curiosity, your beautiful, growing heart. I promise to be your home, your debate partner, and the keeper of your dreams. Aria, her eyes shining with tears, looked at Hannah. You taught me that love isn't about following a map someone else drew. It's about building a new world together. I choose to build my world with you. I promise to always try to be as brave as you think I am. Then it was Noelle's turn. She turned to Marisol, taking both her hands. Marisol Valdez, you are the most courageous person I know. You were taught that love had limits, and you chose to see its boundless beauty.
You chose me.
I promise to never let you forget your strength. I promise to fill your life with so much laughter and art and joy that you'll never miss the silence of that old path. Marisol looked at Noelle, at the woman who was her joy, her inspiration. They told me love was a narrow path, she said, her voice trembling but sure. But you, my beautiful Noelle, you are a whole wild, glorious universe. Loving you feels like the most natural and right thing I have ever done. I vow to love you with everything I am, with a commitment that is deeper than any tradition. They exchanged their handmade rings, a quadruple band of promise. Then, they turned to face their small circle of friends, their faces alight with a defiant, glorious joy. They were not legally married. In the eyes of the law and their families, they were roommates, friends. But in their own eyes, and in the eyes of those who loved them, they were a family. They moved in together, all four of them, into a large, bright loft that Hannah filled with art and Noelle filled with sculptures and Aria filled with books and Marisol filled with a peace she had never known was possible. Their love was not a single act of defiance, but a daily practice. It was in the simple act of waking up together, of making coffee for four, of navigating life as a unit. It was in the way they held hands on the street, refusing to be invisible. It was in the way Marisol still wore her necklace, a symbol not of a community that struggled to understand, but of the love she now knew was sacred. They were not a perfect story. There were still moments of pain, the birthday card from Aria's mother that went unanswered for a long time, the news of family events they weren't part of, the occasional curious glance from strangers. The world was slow to change. But in their loft, surrounded by the art of their love and the family they had built, they had everything. They had chosen each other, against all odds, against every expectation. And in that choice, they had found a love that was unbreakable. Extended, the rhythm of their days. The loft was their sanctuary, their sovereign state. Sunlight poured through the massive industrial windows. It was in one of these pools of light that Aria found Hannah on a lazy Sunday morning, curled on a vast, low-slung sofa, a book forgotten in her lap as she sketched in the margins. Aria padded over silently. She watched Hannah's hand move, quick and sure, capturing the lines of a sleeping Noelle, who was sprawled on a rug, a shaft of light turning her hair into a river of copper. Marisol was nearby, a book open on her knees, but her gaze was soft, fixed on Noelle, a private smile on her lips. This was their peace. This was the aftermath of their commitment, and it was profoundly, beautifully ordinary. Aria sank onto the sofa beside Hannah, curling into her side. Hannah didn't startle, she just adjusted her arm, pulling Aria closer, dropping an absent-minded kiss onto her hair. The kiss was a punctuation mark in their shared silence, as natural as breathing. Aria closed her eyes, inhaling the scent of Hannah, linseed oil, coffee, and the unique, clean smell of her skin. This simple intimacy still sent a thrill through her. Her mind drifted back to the early days of their affair, to the first time Hannah's kisses had truly unraveled her. Underscore 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 underscore. It had been a week after their first kiss. The air in Hannah's apartment was thick with the scent of turpentine and potential. Aria was trying to focus on the canvas in front of her, on the bold red streak Hannah had guided her hand to make. "Don't overthink it," Hannah had murmured, her breath warm against Aria's ear. "Just feel. What does that red feel like?" "It feels loud," Aria had whispered, her voice shaky. "It feels like what my heart is doing right now." Hannah had gone still behind her. Slowly, she turned Aria around to face her. Paint smudged both their shirts. Hannah's eyes, behind her glasses, were dark and serious. "Show me," Hannah said, her voice low. And Aria, emboldened by the red paint and the pounding in her chest, had kissed her again. This time, it wasn't clumsy. It was a question. Hannah's answer was immediate and thorough. Her hands came up to frame Arya's face, her thumb stroking her cheeks as her mouth moved with a devastating slowness against Arya's. This was nothing like the fumbled kisses from her past. This was an exploration. Hannah's lips were soft but deliberate. She kissed like she talked, with intelligence and intent. She would pull back just slightly, her eyes searching Arya's, before diving back in, changing the angle, deepening the kiss until Arya's thoughts had melted into a single, burning point of sensation. It was a kiss that spoke of discovery and deep respect, and it left Arya breathless and certain. Underscore 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 underscore. A soft chuckle from Marisol brought Arya back to the present. Noelle had stretched and rolled over, blinking sleepily up at Marisol. "Are you reading something serious?" Noelle asked, her voice husky with sleep. "Because I'm feeling anything but serious." She said it with a teasing challenge. Marisol dog-eared her page and closed the book, setting it aside. "I was reading poetry, actually," she said, her voice laced with a warmth reserved only for Noelle. "You have stolen my heart with one glance of your eyes." Noelle's smirk softened into something genuine and tender. She sat up, reaching for Marisol's hand. "Yeah, that's a good one." "It is," Marisol said, pulling Noelle up to sit beside her. "It's about fierce, passionate, undeniable love. I choose to read it for us." "I like that," Noelle murmured, and she leaned in to kiss her. Arya watched them. Marisol and Noelle's physical language was different from hers and Hannah's. Where she and Hannah were a quiet, smouldering fire, Noelle and Marisol were a beautiful collision. Noelle kissed Marisol like she was celebrating her, like her love was a gift she was offering. Marisol, who was always so composed, melted under Noelle's touch. She would bring her hands up to cradle Noelle's face with a reverence that was almost prayerful, her fingers gently tracing the line of Noelle's jaw as their lips moved together. Their kisses were conversations. Sometimes they were playful, full of laughter. Other times, especially after a difficult day, they were deep and seeking, a silent reaffirmation of their chosen path. Arya had seen Marisol, after a painful reminder from the outside world, seek out Noelle, bury her face in her neck, and then lift her head for a kiss that was pure, unadulterated comfort, a kiss that said, "You are my truth." And Noelle would give it, holding Marisol tight, her kiss a steadfast promise, "I am here. I'm not going anywhere." Now, on the sofa, their kiss was one of gentle, morning affection. It was a slow, sweet pressing together that spoke of comfort and deep familiarity. When they parted, Noelle rested her head on Marisol's shoulder. "We should do something today," Noelle announced to the room. "Something that feels like a celebration." "Every day with you is a celebration," Marisol said dryly, though her eyes shone with affection. "Something more tangible," Noelle insisted. "Let's have an anniversary." "Our anniversary isn't for months," Hannah pointed out, not looking up from her sketch. "Not that anniversary. A today anniversary. The anniversary of us all living here together." Noelle grinned. "We can make up the rules. That's the point of all this, isn't it?" And so they did. They declared it the day of 4, a holiday of their own invention. They cooked a meal together, a chaotic and delicious mess of 4 different cuisines. They danced in the living room to a mix of their favorite music. They were 4 parts of a wonderfully discordant, perfect whole. As dusk fell, painting the sky in shades of violet and orange, they ended up back on the large sofa, a tangle of limbs and contented sighs. "This," Marisol said softly, her voice cutting through the comfortable silence. "This is the sacredness they don't teach you about. This connection." Hannah put down her sketchbook. "It's chemistry and choice, Marie." But she said it softly, with love, and she squeezed Arya closer. "It can be both," Arya said, surprising herself. She was learning to hold multiple truths at once because they were all part of the women she loved. Noelle sat up, looking at the 3 of them, her expression uncharacteristically solemn. "I want to renew our promises." "We've only made them once," Hannah said, though she looked intrigued. "So, we can renew them every year. Every week if we want." Noelle's excitement was building. "Not a big thing. Just us. Right here. Right now. We can say what we're feeling in this moment." The idea took root instantly. They shifted, facing each other in a loose circle on the floor, knees touching. They took turns, each woman offering her heart to the others, not with legally binding words, but with promises of loyalty, support, laughter, and unwavering love. They spoke of building a world together, of being each other's home and family. The vows hung in the air around them, more binding than any contract. They didn't need rings or a certificate. They came together then, in a four-way embrace, a hug that was all laughing tears and intertwined arms, a knot of love that could not be undone. Later that night, Arya lay in bed with Hannah, their bodies curled together, skin to skin in the dark. "Do you ever miss it?" Arya whispered. "The idea of a simple path. A family that immediately understands." Hannah was silent for a moment, her fingers tracing patterns on Arya's arm. "This is our simple path," she said, her voice firm. "And our family," she kissed Arya's shoulder, "is right here. They understand me perfectly." Arya smiled in the darkness, nuzzling closer. Hannah was right. Their love affair, their marriage, their life, it wasn't a rejection of the world. It was the creation of a new one. And in this world, every kiss was a vow, every touch was a celebration, and every day was a testament to the unshakable foundation of their extraordinary, ordinary love. It was everything.